for joining me this evening. Well, after weeks on the picket lines, unionized employees with Dalico and Anishinaabe Family Services are heading back to work. The final contract vote was held this week, and after being tallied, over 80% said yes to the new agreement. But as Nate Jones reports, the union says there's still a lot of work to be done.
The last of Dalico's unionized employees in the district cast their ballots, bringing strike action that would have gone into its third week to a halt. Over 200 CEP members showed up from Thunder Bay and Armstrong for the final meeting to clarify the new contract before casting their votes. The new agreement says that employees were to return to work August 6th, but that date has been changed now to this Wednesday. Since the strike began, the union was raising concerns about the unmanageable workloads for social workers at the organization. A new letter of understanding will form a committee of both union representatives and Dalico management to address the issue.
It's a huge project. It's you're going to have to look at every angle and everything that impacts workload. And then once that's identified, then you're going to have to wrestle with how do we fix it now? How do we change it? And we're really looking forward to working with, again, all decision-making levels of Dalico.
On top of that, both parties will be taking part in the Ministry of Labor's Interactive Solutions program to help mend a somewhat broken relationship.
And they're going to come in, and we're going to do this very soon, to help with the relationship between Dalico management and the union. So we're looking forward to that. I really think everyone believes that we need help with communication between management and the union.
The workers will receive a $500 signing bonus along with a 2% wage increase in 2013 and 2014. Mental health employees will get a 2.5% wage increase. As well, all employees working on-call shifts will be paid their regular wage now for all direct contact with their clients. The new 3-year contract, which dates back to April of last year, will expire in March of 2015. But the union expects to be back at the bargaining table in a little over a year to address other issues. Dalico management say they are pleased the collective agreement was ratified, and they hope to resume all services as soon as possible. Nate Jones, TBT News.
The Northwest Energy Task Force has won another battle in its effort to keep the Thunder Bay generating station open. The Ontario Energy Board issued a decision which reinforces the need for the coal plant. The board has agreed with another provincial energy agency that the station's removal from service would have an unacceptable impact. Dennis Ward has more.
The Common Voice Northwest Energy Task Force sees this latest decision as a win for its calls to have the coal plant converted to natural gas. The Ontario Energy Board has confirmed the position of the Integrated Electrical System Operator. Both agencies believe the local generating station is essential for energy reliability for the region. The OEB has ordered the IESO to enter into a contract for this year that ensures 1 unit of the power plant is available to meet our energy needs.
We see that as confirmation of everything we've been saying over the last number of months, that this plant is essential for Northwestern Ontario. And it's just another reason why the government needs to move forward to reinstate the conversion to natural gas sooner rather than later.
The Energy Task Force has wasted no time and sent this latest decision to local Liberal MPPs Bill Morrow and Michael Gravel, and they are the ones who will have to pressure the Minister of Energy.
You now have 2 out of 3 agencies that are saying this plant is needed. You need to step up to the plate and make the right decision and announce the conversion.
Angus himself had previously set a deadline for the end of June for that announcement. He remains optimistic this latest news will reinforce the need for this plant to remain operational past the end of coal usage in 2014. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
Communities along Highway 11 west of Fort Frances received some welcome news this week in the form of a $25 million investment by Hydro One. All the required approvals have been obtained, and construction on a new transformer station in the town of Barwick is set to begin. The station will improve the delivery of local electricity and provide more capacity for communities from Rainy River to Fort Frances. Reeve of Chapel Township, Peter Van Heist, says reliability issues have been a concern in the area due to the distance that feeder lines are currently required to travel.
We've had some problem with blackouts, especially in the west end of the district, and this power station being in the middle of the district between Fort Frances and Rainy River will give a stable power supply.
Construction is slated to begin in the coming weeks with plans for completion in August of 2014. The inquest jury examining the death of a young Thunder Bay construction worker has released 9 recommendations aimed at preventing similar tragedies in the future. 24-year-old Gustavo Argueta died 2 years ago while working on the Mackenzie River Bridge. The inquest was expected to last all week, but it concluded on Wednesday with all parties saying they're satisfied with the results. Jonathan Wilson reports.
You know, there isn't a day that I don't think about the accident. There isn't a day that I don't miss my brother.
An emotional Walter Argueta testified on the third and final day of the inquest into the death of his brother. Gustavo Argueta was 50 feet up on a bucket lift on a steep slope under the Mackenzie River Bridge when it tipped over. Walter says his brother told him the training involved to operate the bucket lift was inadequate and the topics covered in daily safety meetings were irrelevant. And the jury heard that loud and clear. Among the 9 recommendations, 5 of them deal with better training for young workers using elevated work platforms.
I think that there was a general consensus that if training had been better for this young man, had he known and appreciated the risks that were associated with the job that he was doing, that in fact he would not have put himself in that situation of danger, or had he found himself suddenly in that situation of danger, he would have been able to better extricate himself.
Members of the Argueta family say they were originally reluctant to take part in this inquest and relive the tragedy. But after 3 days here, they say the process was worth it.
I do believe that some of the changes that are that they're recommending will impact the industry in a better way.
The jury also recommends stronger penalties for altering or disarming safety mechanisms on equipment. Argueta's machine had an alarm which warns the driver about being on an unsafe slope, but that alarm had spray foam in it and the wires had been disconnected. The jury also wants the construction industry to hold toolbox meetings at the start of each workday to discuss workplace objectives and address safety concerns.
The reason why I decided to come was maybe with my insight or me being present would help make some different changes, so no other family has to deal with this, what we went through, and no other young worker will lose his life at such a young age.
He shouldn't have died, and quite frankly, this inquest today has, I think, produced some very important recommendations that are going to prevent these tragedies in the future.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The provincial government says it's stepping up to the plate for the experimental lakes area. The province is offering up $2 million a year to keep the facility open. But the clock is ticking for the ELA as discussions continue between the province, the federal government, and Manitoba. And as Nate Jones tells us, concerned parties say it's up to the feds to seal the deal.
In 1 month, the agreement between the province and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, who operate the ELA, will expire. And once again, the facility may close. M&R Minister David Orzetti says talks are taking place with the federal government over liability issues associated with the lakes. The province of Manitoba is also involved, as it will have a role to play in the future operation of the facility. The Winnipeg-based International Institute for Sustainable Development receives $1 million a year from that government. The IISD and the federal government signed a deal 3 years ago to have the institute take over the ELA. MP Bruce Heyer applauds the province for its $2 million annual commitment and says the fate of the ELA now lies with the feds.
The province is doing a good job on this one. They're stepping up to the plate. They really see the value in the ELA. They want to save it. And so now the ball is in the Conservatives' court and in Minister Rickford's court. And we're going to find out now whether they really believe in science.
The Council of Canadians believe the biggest issue for Ottawa is a lease contract with Ontario. It has a clause that requires the federal government to return the lakes to pristine condition after the facility is closed. This has been estimated by ELA staff to cost up to $50 million. Thunder Bay Council of Canadians Chair Tom Cook says that price tag could cause some issues at negotiations.
So all they got left is the liability part. All right, then you have to take over that $40 million liability, and it's going to scare off everybody. And the feds get to close it down, and for them to spend $40 million is a lot different than for our province to spend $40 million.
It would appear the costs to run the facility will be more than covered. The real question is, who will be on the hook for any cleanup costs if and when it closes? Nate Jones, TVT News.
A local mining project is getting support in the Rainy River District. Details are coming up next. The vast majority of residents in the Rainy River District say they're in support of a local mining project. Rainy River Resources held a workshop and open house in the community of Barwick this week, what could be their last events held using their current title. Jordan Milani has the story.
On the verge of a friendly acquisition by New Gold, an intermediate gold miner from the West Coast, Rainy River Resources held an open house in Barwick this week, showcasing their draft environmental assessment. Nearly 100 people made the trip to the event as part of a 3-day workshop to see what the company had put together over their 4 years of research and development. President Kyle Stanfield says they've managed to reduce their footprint through the EA process by 35% of their original drawings, and residents seem to be on board for the future of the project.
What we've heard from the residents is we want the best bang for the buck and the best employment opportunities. And so we think that with this draft EA that demonstrates proper environmental management, proper safety management, proper respect for the communities and the culture here in the Rainy River District. So we're very excited with that, and we're looking for those comments to further refine the document and finalize it this fall for the government to look at.
As of this week, New Gold has successfully acquired nearly 87% of Rainy River's common shares. Once they reach the 90% mark, they intend to gain the remaining shares through compulsory acquisition. Emo resident David Kaming hopes the deal will help bring the project into production.
It'd be good for the district, I think, and for the whole area, right from Fort Frances to Rainy River. I think we need it. The economy's been hard hit with the forestry industry, and this would be very good for our local people plus our kids. There's jobs, hopefully, down the road that if our kids want to stay in this community, there'll be something here for them for the future.
Residents in general said they were impressed by the presentation and by the work the company has done thus far through engaging the public. If things continue to move forward according to plan, Stanfield says they could begin construction to the mine as early as next August.
The Rainy River Gold Project is probably the best mining project in North America at this time. Very good resources, very good return on the investment, and it represents for us certainty for the project. We can continue on our timeline with certainty without going to the market to have to raise funds. New Gold is certainly committed to develop this project, and we're now going through a process of implementation in anticipation for construction of August of next year.
A 3-day Mining Matters workshop was also held for all ages, inviting residents to gain knowledge about the mining sector, including an exclusive tour of the exploration site. Jordan Milani, TBT News.
After nearly 2 years in operation, the town of Dorian has yet to see any tax revenue generated by their $275 million wind farm project. A total of 43 turbines have been producing 100 megawatts of renewable wind energy at the Greenwich Wind Farm since 2011. But Dorian Reeve Dave Harris says their township has yet to see the benefits other than employment. He says the problem boils down to a lack of movement by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. Harris is confident that they will eventually receive the funds, but now the issue is affecting their ability to set a town budget.
And not knowing how much we can put aside for that amount for the wind farm, we don't know how much we have to raise taxes, or hopefully, if we like to hold them flat, but we just don't know at this time what the amount will be. And for a township this size, that is a significant quantity of funds to come in.
Harris says the township is completely in the dark on what the value of the revenue might be because a tax rate had not been set on the property in the past. He says they've already made many requests to MPAC to get the issue resolved with little progress. Well, it looks like Trans-Canada Highway drivers between Nipigon and Thunder Bay will have to make sure they've got enough fuel in their tanks for the trip. As of last week, the 110-kilometer stretch of highway no longer has any gas bars directly along the route. Just 2 years ago, the highway had 4 gas stations between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. But 2 of those businesses were purchased by the province and demolished to make way for the new 4-lane highway. Pass Lake Corner service was removed in late 2011, and the Canyon Country service station in Dorian was taken down soon afterward. Meanwhile, Crystal Beach Variety is no longer located along the highway. Instead, it's about half a kilometer south of the new 4-lane section, which opened last week. And the Pass Lake truck stop was supposed to reopen in late 2012 following some major renovations, but it remains shut, and officials with the Ministry of Transportation say they do not know when or if it plans to reopen. Any new developments along the 4-lane highway are subject to MTO land use and entrance permits. The ministry says there are many crossroads along the highway where a gas bar could be set up, but as of right now, no such projects have been announced. Small plastic particles found in the Great Lakes are a cause of alarm for Eco Superior. This comes as researchers discovered tiny plastic particles are being missed by water treatment facilities around the Great Lakes. For years, we've heard of plastic islands in the ocean, and now the problem is hitting close to home. Across the Great Lakes, including Lake Superior, tiny microbeads of plastic are being found in the water. This has signaled alarm for researchers, who are now trying to determine what kind of effect this has on the ecosystem and how much plastic humans are ingesting. Much of the plastic is coming from exfoliants and other skincare products that don't get filtered out in the sewage treatment process.
We feel confident that we have water treatment systems, things that we put down the drain go through a treatment system before being released into the lake. But the fact is that treatment system can't accommodate everything, all of the types of materials and chemicals that we're putting down the drain. It's not meant to capture everything.
Moorfield says residents should avoid personal care and cleaning products that contain a high level of plastic and chemicals. She says it's important to keep Lake Superior clean as it's our main source of drinking water. Well, it will be a first for Canada and a major boost for the Greenstone area. Steep Building Systems is just about ready to set up shop in the town of Geraldton. Construction to the 12,000 square foot production plant is now winding down, and it's already made an impact on a local project. Jordan Milani has the story.
While the plant was originally scheduled for completion this past spring, Steep Systems President James Kennedy says the excitement is beginning to mount, and so are the sales. The future plant will be the first of its kind in Canada, producing steel-insulated panels to be used mostly in residential and commercial construction. Kennedy says the late winter played a major role in their delay, but they're now busy quoting jobs all over the world.
You know, obviously a lot of people were waiting to make sure that we were going to be completed on time and before they, committed. But now that we're closing out, the orders are starting to get actually a little scary.
Kennedy says their strong but lightweight panels have seen great interest from Latin American countries, which Steep Systems has gained contracts with for several large projects. Don Dickens, project engineer, has commissioned several similar plants all over the world, and is assured that the product will also fare well in the sometimes harsh Canadian climate.
It's highly insulated. It goes up fast. You can get it closed in very quickly, so inclement weather doesn't affect it. It's worked out beautifully for Russia in the Siberian area, for Alaska, and I think it will be for Canada also.
The new panel system was recently used to construct the walls for a high school addition in Long Lake 58 First Nation. The product was used for many of the interior and exterior walls for the 4 new classrooms, 2 trade shops, and expanded split gym.
Didn't take very long, like half a day for most of the guys to catch on how to put them together and put them up. It took us, there's 450 feet of walls, and it took us all in all 3 days to complete, have them assembled and installed.
Kennedy expects another 4 weeks are needed before the first plant will be fully operational, though some experts feel there may be more facilities coming close behind.
We think that this will be the first of several plants. The only problem is it may reduce our exports from the U.S. with all these plants up here.
Jordan Milani, TBT News.
The OPP summer camp is underway for children around the region. That story is coming up after the break. The OPP Youth Summer Camp for Northwestern Ontario is back in session at Loon Lake. The kids got the chance to spend the week with different police officers and other kids from around the region. Cheryl Holmes has more.
Good job. Yeah, go through there. The Ontario Provincial Police Northwest Region is hosting their annual Youth Summer Camp. The program's grown exponentially since its birth out of a provincial program 7 years ago.
I started as a day camp for the first 2 years in Kenora only, week long, but it'd come through the day. My goal was to do, in 5 years, have a camp like it is now, and it happened in 3. We had wonderful sponsorship that jumped on board and the regional command staff, so it just exploded on us.
40 kids are sponsored to come out to camp and meet 10 different officers during their 1-week experience. It's a great opportunity for children who are already interested in pursuing a career with police.
It's pretty cool because you get to meet new people and you get to meet a lot of the officers, and we got to meet Crime Stoppers today, so it was really cool.
And they do remember these things, and that's absolutely amazing to hear, and some of our officers need to hear this.
Kids are usually selected by their schools to come to camp. The 1-week experience gives them a chance to learn more about police and see them in a different light. It also has the benefits of a regular overnight camp.
My favorite thing to do here is to go swimming because they have a huge lily pad and it's just really fun.
Another part of the fun is meeting new people. The camp often helps children who struggle with police interaction or even interaction with their peers. It allows them to build strong relationships with people they may have never met.
It's kind of fun because you don't really know them, but they don't really know you. But you get along more better than what you usually do when you know more people.
With events like the Amazing Race happening throughout Thunder Bay on Wednesday, there's one thing all the children can agree on.
It's a pretty good camp experience for a new timer, I guess.
Cheryl Holmes, TBT News.
Residents throughout the Northwest should remain on high alert over the summer months as members of the OPP's Youth in Policing initiative will be out in full force. The Rainy River duo of Jessica and Sierra were in Atikokan this week handing out positive tickets to young cyclists wearing their helmets and also friendly reminders to motorists to lock their doors when leaving their vehicles. The pair has also been volunteering for various organizations throughout the district.
You learn like all the crime that actually goes on around here.
Yeah, we've done processing of the tickets, so we're seeing how many people get pulled over for speeding or drunk driving, and you don't really realize how many people don't know that they're gonna get caught.
The duo will travel throughout the district for the rest of the summer, gaining experience and setting a good example for young riders. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.